Between the big Jacksonville rally, the signing of stars like Pac, Joey Janela, and of course Chris Jericho, Double or Nothing on May 25th, rumours of TV deals, and the major financial backing afforded by the billionaire Khan family, everything looks rosy in All Elite Wrestling's garden here in early 2019. The nascent brand has made remarkable headway for a company that hasn't even run a show yet, and the fact that they've already brought competition back to the wrestling business is their greatest triumph so far. Now, they're not exactly starting a new Monday Night War, but they are changing the way WWE do business in the labour market. And as far as competition goes, well, that is the very definition of the word. Although they're still barely getting started in their big bad mission to become a worthwhile alternative to the long-established WWE status quo, your pal and mine, Cody Rhodes, did reveal some of AEW's battle strategy in a recent interview with ESPN. According to the American Nightmare, AEW will learn from Cody's father Dusty's work as a booker in Jim Crockett Promotions and as an executive producer in WCW. As well as analysing what Dream did well, they'll look at his mistakes and attempt to learn from them. A smart move, and yet AEW need not dip too far into the history books for valuable lessons. Instead, they should be looking at the catastrophes made by Impact Wrestling since the Jarretts launched the promotion back in 2002. TNA history is, of course, a veritable smorgasbord of cock-ups, a hurricane of if you will, and AEW must avoid falling into the same traps, although we're pretty sure that Cody and the Young Bucks are a damn sight smarter than Dixie Carter. I'm Andy for WhatCulture Wrestling, and here are 7 history lessons that AEW could learn from TNA. Number 7. The importance of standing out. The need for a true alternative has always been a major talking point when considering what it takes to compete in the modern pro wrestling market, and it's one that keeps coming up whenever the AEW initials are mentioned. Going up against WWE with a very WWE style product will only result in failure. It doesn't matter how much money the Khan family have, they need to provide something different, something better if they're going to prospect in this market. Fortunately, it sounds like the Elite are smart enough to realise this, and they're already talking about implementing very non-WWE ideas like not hiring writers and even win-loss records and proper rankings. One of TNA's greatest failings was the promotion's inability to differentiate itself from WWE. It was, for long periods, a very sports entertainment product with screwy finishes, goofy gimmicks, evil heel authority figures, and all kinds of other McMahon tropes. Now, those things often work well for Vince, but if you copy them, you're basically just going to come off like WWE Light. Leave the stale Raw and SmackDown format to the big boys. Instead, focus on tapping into underserviced areas of the market, satisfying the needs and desires that just can't be met by Vince McMahon. Number 6. Don't sign every ex-WWE talent under the sun. One of the biggest complaints thrown at the old TNA before Scott D'Amore and Don Callis saved it from booking hell was the promotion's habit of pushing any old WWE reject to the top as soon as they could get their mitty hands on them. This resulted in a number of booking catastrophes, diminishing TNA's credibility and again making the place feel like Diet WWE. They pushed, that's with 2 O's by the way, X-Pac and Raven way past their sell-by date, tried to promote the late Brian Christopher as a main event talent, reinvented Damien Sandow as Aaron Rex, a super serious, fourth wall breaking babyface with no redeeming features. And then there was Test, whose reinvention as Andrew Punisher Martin flopped, Orlando Jordan, Matt Morgan, and loads more. You get the point. AEW will inevitably go shopping for ex-WWE wrestlers, and as with TNA, there are plenty who'll actually benefit the company. If the Revival get released, for example, they'd be great additions, but AEW can't just go hoovering up any old goober and promoting them over the likes of MJF and Pac. TNA regularly batted their eyelids at any former WWE star who just so happened to become available. Thus, they filled the roster full of damaged goods who, in turn, hurt their own homegrown talent. Number 5. Potshots at WWE don't work. When TNA signed Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, renamed them BG James and the Outlaw, and had them run as the Voodoo Kin Mafia, they probably thought they were being really cool and edgy, but as with most people who think they're cool and edgy, they just came off looking like silly The group's clumsy name was a stupid play on Vince McMahon's full moniker, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and both spent their time taking potshots at WWE rather than helping TNA, even dressing as Shawn Michaels and Triple H at some points. But Voodoo Kin Mafia were far from the only offenders. Even Aaron Rex, in his debut segment, decided to take shots at his former employers and his old intellectual savior gimmick, despite, that being the whole reason he got over in the first place. This is extremely harmful to a promotion's credibility. It just makes them seem small fry, and fortunately, AEW are probably clever enough to realise this. But unfortunately, TNA used to adhere to the same policy as WCW did years before them, and it made them look like dopes. All Elite will do well to focus on themselves rather than trying to snipe at the competition, and beat them on the strength of their product rather than through empty shoots. Number 4, do not go head to head. Whoever decided that TNA Impact should go head to head with WWE Raw on Monday nights in 2010, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, deserves a bloody good paddling, because holy balls, was that business suicide or what? The harebrained, ridiculous notion that a company struggling to pop a big rating unopposed could even rival wrestling's biggest TV show was, well, it was a different level of stupid. A trial run on the 4th of January saw Impact deliver a 1.5 rating compared to Raw's 3.6. They then went full-time in the new slot in March, with Impact getting a 0.98 on the 8th, while Raw hit 3.4. Those numbers would remain largely the same for a 2-month head-to-head run, and it didn't take off. TNA were trying to be WCW Nitro at a time when the wrestling business was much more of a closed shop, and they suffered for it. It would take Cody and the Young Bucks losing their damn minds before trying something as daft as this. Unfortunately, it looks like they have Tuesday nights earmarked as their future TV show, with Tuesday Night Dynamite already registered as a trademark. SmackDown is moving to Fridays on Fox this coming October, so theoretically AEW should take control of Tuesday's wrestling market. Now, of course, they'll need to get themselves a bloody TV deal before attempting anything like this at all, but it would take a minor miracle before AEW is in a position where they can run at the exact same time as WWE and thrive in the first place. Number 3, don't destroy your own niche. TNA is very much a whipping boy, and it's trendy to pick all over the promotion and their history, but they actually had a lot going for them back in the day. They had bags of exciting young talent, promoted women's wrestling at a meaningful level years before WWE ever thought of doing the same, and then, of course, was the X Division. Now, the X Division still exists today, but years of misuse make it a shadow of its former self. It used to be the most exciting scene in American wrestling back in the day, highlighting awesome cutting-edge action from the likes of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Low-Ki, and dozens more. Their high work rate spectacles still stand among the best matches in TNA and Impact history, yet TNA continually undermined it in favour of dinosaurs like good old Kevin Nash. By all accounts, it looks like AEW are going to push tag team wrestling to the forefront, something that WWE have continually failed at over the past few years. If the promotion takes off, great tag action could well become their X Division equivalent, i.e., a valuable building block and a unique selling point. Number 2, Vanity consumes everything. TNA died for many reasons. From throwing exorbitant amounts of money at destructive influences like Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, to undermining homegrown talent like AJ Styles, their mistakes are legion. But Dixie Carter's Vanity stands tall above everything else. TNA was very much Dixie's plaything, and after taking control of the company without a clue of how to operate a wrestling promotion, Carter made it to television a few years later, meddling in all kinds of on-air storylines right up to her end. It speaks volumes that few people who actually work there have kind words to say about Dixie's tenure, and while we trust the Elite to not let Vanity consume their own promotion, it is a very real danger. Cody and the Young Bucks are stars, but they cannot have a monopoly on the spotlight. They'll absolutely have a role to play, and they deserve to as performers, but wrestlers promoting themselves heavily in their own promotion has never gone well at a national or international level. We do trust them to utilise restraint in this regard, but let's just hope they leave enough of the spotlight for everyone else. And at number 1, do not, under any circumstances, hire Vince Russo. The mere mention of Vince Russo's name has likely provoked an angry reaction in at least half of you already, and yeah, he's kind of an easy target, but let's be real, the man was a complete disaster for TNA. Here is just a brief sample of some of Vince's genius ideas when he was with Impact. The Reverse Battle Royal, Claire Lynch, the Last Rites match between Sting and Abyss that was so bad it prompted Fire Russo chants in the building, SEX, the Lockbox Challenge. I could go on, but I think this proves the point. And it's also worth mentioning that Russo's secret behind-the-scenes return to the TNA writing team pretty much led up to the company's departure from Spike TV, their TV network, in 2004, which, I might add, the promotion has never truly recovered from. Now, the Elite obviously won't be dumb enough to give this gumflapper a contract, given that they absolutely hate each other, and, you know, these guys aren't dafties, but this point bears repeating regardless. Don't hire Vince Russo.